So I think one of the cooler things that you could do with Flipgrid is to use it differently than it's originally intended. Just take this platform, these resources, these tools at your disposal, and do something cool and outside the box with them. Not that this necessarily qualifies as cool and outside the box, because podcasting or vlogging is well tread territory, but it should start to give you the idea. So, one of the things that we want kids doing is talking about their learning in new and authentic and relevant ways. And so, why not have them create a podcast or a video blog series using Flipgrid? A lot of the times, the barrier to entry to those things is people will say things like, well, I don't know how to start a podcast, and I don't know how to upload a video for a vlog, or you don't have to know any of those things, because Flipgrid will take care of that for you. If you know how to use the platform, then all students have to know how to do is get it onto Flipgrid, which we've covered that. It's very, very, very easy. All of the work happens before they actually get to Flipgrid, and Flipgrid is just the avenue. So if you can be using a tool like Flipgrid just to get to the higher learning, then that's where we're really making a lot of progress and doing some cool things. So I just very quickly threw together a topic that kind of assumes that some background work has been done with my students. So making a podcast, there's no inherent learning in that. But all of the prep work that leads up to being able to create a high quality podcast, that is where the learning happens. And so you can see in my directions, I've said, remember, a podcast episode should be shorter than whatever, follow the guidelines for high quality podcasting. This is referencing something I would have done with my students, saying, okay, so how do you make a good podcast? What makes a good, what makes something worth listening to? Maybe we've listened to a few short podcast episodes made for kids, because there's plenty of those out there. Then down here below, I've also I added a media resource. You'll see this option whenever you make a Flipgrid topic. I simply clicked on this, and then I went to YouTube and I searched how to make a good podcast. And I just, so maybe this is a resource that I've left for my kids. That way they could watch this and just have some reminders of what makes a good podcast. But then what you do is you create your topic, you get that to your students, they do all of the work. You don't even give them this link until they have done all of the learning. And then the podcast is just their motivation, because they're going to post it, their peers are going to see it. It's kind of that higher, authentic, riskier result for students for their learning. It's also something that taps into a lot of really authentic and real world experiences. Kids need to know how to talk about their learning. A lot of them, some of them at least, might grow up to actually be podcasters. Anyone can start a podcast. It's not hard. But getting a podcast that's worth listening to, now that's where it takes some real work. And there's, why not have some of our activities in any content area talk about or use podcasting as an avenue, or use vlogging as an avenue? I just have been talking about podcasting because it's a little bit more of an easier entry for students, because they don't have to be on camera. This can be used in English, social studies, math, science. Just get creative. What do we want kids talking about with their topics? And so once they're ready to go, you just create a topic and you have them upload just audio only if you're going to do a podcast, because then you can download the audio and you can give it to them, and they can, you, if you want to get into the production stuff and all of that, you absolutely can. But at this point, it's just about getting them doing the talking, and then giving them feedback on being like when you can hear their learning and hear their learning process. Again, all of this can be done through Flipgrid, and that's really the beauty here. Is Flipgrid isn't doing anything amazing. It's a teacher doing something super cool and using Flipgrid as the tool.